Hey everybody. I am back for the first time in a really long time. I know I said I was going to do this more frequently, and then I shared my last update in February of 2024, and now it is January of 2025. So I'm going to give y'all an update. I'm going to try to make it quick, which you guys know for me is sometimes a struggle. Um, but a lot has happened. Obviously, you can kind of see my settings are a little bit different too. More on that soon. Um, but yeah, so um, one of the first things, my hair's been natural since like fucking April. Yeah, dude. When I chopped it all off, I was basically down a two guard, but it's greasy right now, so we are putting that back on. And I had it. Okay, I guess it looks okay. Anyway, so still not great at editing videos. Still raw dogging the world with my unedited videos. So sorry, YouTube and friends. Some things don't change. Some things that did change, I officially became divorced in April of last year. Um, I had my interview with Teach Kentucky in March of last year. After that, the next big thing was my surgery in April to get fixed and become sterile. So that was an awesome thing. I missed my 6 month cancer checkup in August, so I'm having that in February because I kind of moved to Kentucky. I got offered um, an invitation to come join Teach Kentucky. Wow, that space on that. And I decided to take it. So my roommate slash best friend Leah and I packed all of our things and moved from West Texas to Louisville, Kentucky in June of 2024. So spent the summer not getting a paycheck, going to school, not really getting to work. I kind of lived off my 401k for a minute. Thanks HEB. Uh, threw some truth bombs there when I left. Oh God, it's been a wild few months, and there is a lot to talk about. But I'm back in school. I'm working on my Master's of Arts in Teaching for special education. I'm teaching resource English, which is a small, like 10 students in less classroom for students who have either some level of learning disability or an emotional or behavioral disorder and need that small classroom setting. Uh, those are kind of the big things. Definitely a lot more going on. I'll remember as we go. But I've been through a lot of changes. There's a lot of adjustments that have come with moving to a new state for the first time in my life after living in Texas my entire life. And for most of that time, almost in the same house for the majority of it. Um, it's been a wild ride. I'm really sorry that I kind of dropped off of the face of the earth, and I have told myself for quite a while now to make an update, but a lot's been going on, as you have heard. Uh, I am also flying blind because there is, as per usual, a glare off of my glasses. So I have some notes and things I want to read. I actually found some thoughts that I wrote down in 2018, I believe, maybe end of 2018, early 2019, but it was definitely those days. So I kind of want to read back over that a little bit, or read that to y'all and kind of like talk about the difference from then and now and um, just a few things like that. I might share some poetry because we all know that is part of the purpose of this channel. But hey, I'm back in school, and it's also about sharing my experience of working and being in school. And now working entails also school. So, uh, some of my notes. Oh, yeah, I don't really. I don't really want to get, that's for another video. One of the things I did want to mention that was on here though is that I made it through most of summer and then um to Thanksgiving without being on stimulant medication. Obviously, I didn't go off of my antidepressants. That would have been a disaster. But um kind of proud of myself. Also, really hard experience. As somebody who didn't start taking stimulant medication until they were 32 years old, and at um, a couple of points has gone without it because of the shortage or because of whatever reason, this extended break, wrangling teenagers as part of my job, and also going from working overnight to working daytimes and being around people constantly, that's wild. It's been a crazy experience, but it's been really cool. It's been a lot of fun. Um, and I will talk more about that in the coming updates because this will be a regular thing again. It's just a matter of making myself do the things. Um, and I know like that doing the thing again becomes like maybe 2 or 3 updates and then I fall off for a while, never this long, but really gonna work on it because I need to get this speaking in front of others and doing it better. Maybe not quite getting distracted as easily, especially being back on meds, and just being comfortable on camera for any occasion where I ever have to be. I really do still want to share my poetry with the world. I also still want to keep studying for the rest of my life. A lot of goals and stuff, but we'll see how everything all works out. Um, Part of what I'll probably talk about next time is more evidence of why we just need to be talking about our lived experiences because that's how we improve our communication and we allow others to see how we experience things and maybe um, break up some misunderstandings with people kind of taking our actions or the way that we react to things the wrong way. Like talking about how we experience things in our own bodies and minds can really make a difference. And that kind of will touch on addiction versus people who don't really struggle with chemical addiction, but they struggle in other ways and stuff. Um, but switching gears, this wild little like journaling activity that wasn't probably an actual activity, but it's from roughly 2018-ish, based on the context. Uh, but one of those getting things out of my head so they're not in my head anymore situations. Sometimes I am genuinely surprised that people actually like me. I don't like myself that much. Sometimes I do. I'm incredibly mean. I think I'm obnoxious, annoying. I'm very aggressive, pushy, very angry, moody. I am very insecure, anxious, indecisive. I am hyper. I have too much energy when I don't have enough of it. I'm ready to conquer the world. Sorry, my brain space. I'm ready to conquer the world when I am not afraid to encounter people, when I don't want to hide in my bed. I'm afraid of pushing everyone who loves me away because I can't stop lashing out at them in anger when they did nothing to deserve my animosity. I'm afraid of never being better than what I am, never improving my situation, never getting back to school, never, just kidding, always working for minimum wage or tips. I'm overwhelmed by not only the future, but the present and very much the past. I am sad, the kind of sad that really hurts, the kind of sad you can feel physically, but sometimes I'm also unreasonably happy. I am hyper distracted, space case. It's one of my handles. I imagine scenarios that will never play out in detail. I stress myself out about things that will never happen. I am distracted constantly. I find it hard to focus on or tackle tasks that seem big and scary even when they aren't. I think about dying. I think about it a lot, but never in a way that I feel like I could truly be a danger to myself. Man, we have so much to talk about. I have hope that maybe things will get better someday, maybe. But that doesn't mean I don't think about how maybe the people I love will get past it and be better without me. I know they love me, but I am so difficult and it's hard to comprehend how they put up with my shit. I'm afraid to die. I'm afraid to miss the part where it gets better. I'm not a danger to my life, but I know I'm holding myself back from living my life. My life is run by anxiety, anger, aggression, depression, forgetfulness, irrational hyperness, irrational fear, distractions, insecurity, and decisiveness. And that's the end of it. And wow, so much has changed. There's a lot that's still the same, but the way that I manage it has changed, and therefore that is an aspect that's improved. I actually briefly skimmed a lot of that just to kind of get an idea of when it was written, but didn't actually read most of it. And so, like, obviously, like, you could see some of my reactions as I was reading it. But I'm gonna just start at the beginning because I still am genuinely surprised sometimes that people actually like me. I know that's irrational, but if you lived in my brain, you would understand. If you had the experiences I had of feeling like an obnoxious, annoying person that people didn't want to be around, like you understand. And some of you obviously do. Um, I don't like myself much sometimes. Sometimes I do. That's always gonna be true. There's always going to be things that frustrate me about myself that I could do better. I'm incredibly mean. That is something that I've improved a lot, but I still struggle with that irrational irritability and anger sometimes, and I can be mean. I've done a lot to improve that because it really, I hate the way that it makes me feel to be mean. It makes me feel bad. Um, I am insecure, anxious, indecisive. I think that is always going to be to some extent there, but definitely doing better. Each year, I feel like I have become more confident about various aspects of myself than I've ever been in my life. I'm still hyper. Sometimes still have too much energy. Sometimes don't have enough of it. Sometimes still ready to conquer the world, and sometimes that's hard because I don't want to deal with people. I want to hide in my bed. Um, let's see. I'm afraid of pushing everyone who loves me away. That's always going to be there for people who struggle with the mental the shit. Um, I do I do better now with lashing out at people and making sure that I'm not reacting to people who don't deserve it or having a trauma reaction and taking it out on somebody because they're there or they were like said they said something wrong because that's dumb. But it's what people do. It's what we do. We have to learn to do better. Um, Improving my situation, never going back to school, always working for minimum wage or tips. Uh, I know this was before April 2019 because April 2019 was when I went back to school and I started working on my bachelor's degree. And fucking despite working full time, at times having two jobs, sometimes three, planning a wedding and taking at least a month off for that, and a whole slew of things. My dad dying in 2022. I still graduated in about 4 years and 3 months, which is wild. And I really was hard on myself during it. When I lost my 4.0, I was really, I mean, really hard on myself. Um, I'm not only overwhelmed by the future, but the present, everything, very much the past. Kind of sad, that really hurts. I kind of get into knowing that I'm not a danger for myself. And I mean, there are things that I am skipping over that obviously have changed, and some that will always be there. Like I'm always gonna have little scenarios in my head that I work out, but got to this point where I talk about the feeling of eventually like my loved ones getting used to me being gone if I decide not to stick around, and I recognize like that's not I mean, it's obviously the case. We all learn how to live without the people that we lose, but it's not as I understand that like I'm more important to some people than I see myself in my head. But I did get to that point where in 2023, like I recognized that there was um, a real issue. Like I made a plan for the first time in my life, despite literally 3 decades of suicidal ideation, of um, having memories of talking about killing myself when I was a kid, like telling people that I would do that as a kid, knowing that it's something that I have thought of in a comforting way my entire life, but also knowing it's not something that I would do. And then getting to the point where I recognized that I was actively making a plan and deciding to go spend some time in a hospital and learn how to manage my life again, and recognize that I'd been in a spiral for the last year and a half, or at that point over a year since my dad had died. It's kind of wild. Um, and I know that things will always get better, and that's why I did what I did. Like, I got help. I knew that there's a reason that I'm here and that I have things to do. And if nothing else, there's some people I have to outlive. Not in a vengeful way, but in a personal way. Um, but yeah, like it's a cycle, and it's wild to look back more than 5 years later and think about how many of those things have changed, how many of them are relatively consistent and will stay consistent, and how many of those things, like, I graduated last summer. I finished my degree. I summa cum laude got my 3.94 because it definitely slipped a little bit when I finally put my mental health first and put myself in the hospital. All of these things, and I mean some other things that have changed. I'm not afraid of dying or death. Um, I do know that things will get better. I know that I'm not in danger of being the reason that I'm gone before things get better. Like, if that happens, it's because it was supposed to happen, or somebody like made it happen. That was not me. So that's not a danger anytime soon. But um, despite that, like, I recognize that I'm not afraid to die. And I think back then, a lot of my fear of dying was more of a FOMO type thing, like being afraid of all the things I would miss when I was gone. And that's when it came down to that. I'm afraid of the part where I'm afraid to miss the part where it gets better, because it does get better. Um, Anyway, this has been long. I just looked at the length of the video, and I did not get around to sharing poetry, but I absolutely have some more poetry from the last almost year that I've written to share with you, slash more poetry from my friggin' youth that I found to share with you, because I forgot we were going to start that, and I was going to share baby Shay writings, and I promise it's coming. I'm not going to bail again, but again, I apologize for the raw dogged, unedited video you guys are about to get. If you make it this far, thank you for watching. Obviously, only a few people ever do, but I love y'all, and I will see y'all soon.